today's video, we're going to talk about fraction numbers. Something like 1 over 3, 2 over 3, 4 over 7, 6 over 15. That can be simplified. Anyway, so first thing we're going to talk about the fraction number addition. So let's say example 1, if we have 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3, how do we do the addition for these two numbers? So the first thing we need to look at the denominator, which is something on the bottom. If they're the same, we can just add the top numbers together. So since here is 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3, the denominator is kind of the same, so we can just keep them the same. 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3 equals. So they have the common denominator, so we can just add the top without doing anything. Move the top numbers to the denominator part and add them together. So we will have 2 over 3. Let's do another one. If we have 1 over 5 plus 1 over 5. Same thing, they have the same denominator, so we could just keep them the same, add the top. So it will be 2 over 5. Let's do another one. If we have 1 over 12 plus 1 over 12. They still have the same denominator, keep them the same, copy to the bottom, and add the top together, the denominator. So it will be 2 over 12. But for this one, we can simplify it. They have the common factor, like since 12 is 2 times 6, so it will be 1 over 6. We can talk about that later. So that's how we simplify the fraction number. If they have the common factor on the denominator and denominator, we can just cancel out the common factor. Let's say it's 0 times something times x and something times y. We can just cancel out the common factor, leave x and y. So we're going to talk about that later. So that's the example when we have the same denominator. What if we have different denominator? Let's say 1 over 3 plus 1 over 4. Right now they have different denominator. So we need to find the common denominator for them. Basically, we need to find the least one, which is called LCD, the least common denominator. So what's the least common denominator for 3 and 4? That will be 3 times 4. And that's the least common denominator for the 3 and 4. Now, in order to change that, change 3, now we need to change 3 to the least common denominator. So we need to times 4. So if we times 4 on the bottom, we also need to do the same thing to the top. That way, it won't change that number. So it will keep that number the same. I change the color. So for the 4, if we need times 4 on the bottom, we also need times 4 on the top. That way, it will keep that number unchanged because this is a common factor, so we can just cancel out. But right now, we want to keep it the same because we want this guy, the common denominator. We want the common denominator for 3 and 4. Same thing, we need copy that 1 over 4 in order to change 4 to. So we got change 4 to this guy. So we need to multiply by 3 to the bottom. So we need to do the same thing to the top. Right now, these numbers still not change. It just change the form because we changed the denominator to the common one. That way, we can do the addition. So it will be 3 plus 4. The first number will be 1 times 4 plus 1 times 3. That's the second number. Now we can do the addition. So 3 times 4 is 12. 1 plus 4 is 4. And 1 times 3 is 3. So it will be 7 over 12. That will be the final answer for 1 over 3 plus 1 over 4. So the idea is we have, let's say we have something, a over b plus c over d. So we need to find the common denominator for the b and d. If you're not sure how to find the least one, we can just find the common factor first. Let's just do b times d. And if we use b times d, in order to keep this guy the same, so we gotta change this b times d, and we also need a times d. That way it's still, after we cancel out d, we still have a over b. And for this guy, same thing, c over d. In order to change d to b times d, we times b on the bottom and times b to the top. That way, same thing, we can cancel the common factor b. So that won't change this number. So every time you change the form of the number, you don't want to change the value for that. So that's how we do the common factor thing. But b times d might not be the least one, but it will be the common denominator for b and d. After that, we can do b times d. The top will be a times d plus b times c. After we get the result here, this fraction might not be the simplified one. So we might be able to find the common factor for the top and the bottom to simplify it more. But b and d could be the least common denominator. If it's not, we can simplify it. So let's look at the other example. Let's say if we have 1 over 4 plus 1 over 6. Let's do this. If we just kind of find the common factor for 4 and 6, we can just use 4 times 6. 4 times 6, for the first number, the top will be 1 times 6 plus 4, 6 times 4. We also need to use 1 times 4. So 4 times 6 will be the common factor or common denominator for 4 and 6. So on the bottom, the denominator will be 4 times 6. On top, the 1 times 6 plus 1 times 4. So what will that give us? 24. 1 times 6 is 6 plus 1 times 4 is 4. So that'll be 10 over 24. But 10 and 24, they have some common factors. Let's say 10 is 2 times 5. 24 is 2 times 12. So they have the common factor 2. We can just cancel out the top and the bottom, leave. So 10 is 2 times 5. 24 is 2 times 12. That will give us, we cancel the common factor here, that will leave 5 over 12. So basically 12 will be the least common denominator, which is the LCD for 4 and 6. The other way to find the LCD is we try to use the prime number to represent the numbers we have. Let's say 4, the prime number is the number can only divide by 1 and itself. Let's say, so 4 can be 2 times 2. 6 will be 2 times 3. So the LCD will be, we find the common numbers. So we use 2, keep this 2, and times 2. We already have 2 once, so times 3. So that will give us 12. So that's the LCD for 4 and 6. So now we did this fraction addition for, have the same denominator and different denominator. The idea is the LCD thing. If we know the LCD, we can just do the addition for the denominator. If we cannot find the least one, at least we can find the common denominator first. And after that, we can do simplify. Now let's look at another example. Let's say we have same denominator, 2 over 12 plus 3 over 12. So they have the same denominator, so we can just add there at the top. So that will be 5 over 12. Another one, 2 over 13 plus 3 over 13. Same thing. Copy the denominator at the top, 5 over 13. Let's do another one. We have different denominator. Let's say 2 over 7 plus 3 over 5. Now they have different denominator. So the common denominator will be 5 times 7. For the top one, if we need to change 7 to 5 times 7, we need to times 5. So we times 5 to the top and add 3 plus, you have to change 5 to 5 times 7, we need to times 7, so we need 5 times 7 on the bottom. We also need to do the 3 times 7 on top. After that, 5 times 7 is 35. On top, we get 2 times 5 is 10 plus 3 times 7, 21. So that will give us 31 over 35. And this number is already in the simplified form. So that's the final result. But sometimes if it's not the most simplified one, we can always simplify the fraction after we get it. Let's say if we have 2 over 5 plus 3 over 10. So without thinking, let's just do a common factor, 5 times 10. And on the top, 2 times 10 plus 3 times 5. So basically just do cross multiplication. So 2 times 10, 3 times 5. 5 times 10 will give us 50, and 2 times 10, 20 plus 3 times 5 is 15. So that will be 35 over 50. But this number is not in the simplified form. So we know 35 is kind of 5 times 7, and 50 is 5 times 10. So we can cancel out 5 as a common factor. That will give us 7 over 10. That's the time we need to make change to the final form. Basically, 7 over 10 is the same value as 35 over 50, but in different form. This one is simplified. Now we know how to do the fraction addition. So next, let's do the subtraction. Let's say we have number 2 over 3 minus 1 over 3. What will it give us? Same thing, they have the same denominator. So we can just do the subtraction on the top, 2 minus 1. So that will give us 1 over 3. Let's do another example. Let's say 12 over 13 minus 5 over 13. Same denominator, just copy that to the right and do the subtraction on the top. That will give us 7 over 13. We can only do that as long as we have the same denominator here. We can just copy the denominator and do the subtraction on the top. What if we have different denominator? Let's say 12 over 13 minus 1 over 3. What will that give us? So first, the same thing as we do the addition, we need to get the LCD. We still need to get the common denominator. So the common denominator for 13 and 3, without thinking if it's least one or not, we can just do a common denominator. For 13 and 3, we can just use the two numbers multiplied by each other. So that will be 13 times 3. Without changing the number, it will be 12 times 3 minus 1 times 13. That's how we do the change. So 12 over 13 equals 12, 13, which is copy down the number. If we multiply by the same number on the top and the bottom, we won't change the value. So we need times 3 times 3. 1 over 3, in order to change that to 13 times 3, we need times 13 on the top. So it will be 1. So we just do the subtraction for this part and this part. That's how we copy it here. Change the green here, this one. That will give us the result equals, so 12 times 3, which is 36, minus 1 times 13 is 13. 13 times 3 is 39, so that will give us 23 over 39. And this number is already in the simplified form. So that will be the final result for. So we have 12 over 13 minus 1 over 3 will give us 23 minus 39. Let's do another example. Let's say 11 over 15 minus 3 over 5. Okay, they have the different denominator. We need to find the common denominator. For 5 and 15. So without thinking, the common denominator, we can use the two numbers multiplied by each other. It's just the result that we get from there might not be in the simplified form. Okay, let's just do it. Okay, so 11 over 15. In order to change that, 15 times 5, we use 11 times 5. Same thing for 3 over 5. So 5 times 15, we also need to use 3 times 15. Now we can do the subtraction for these two numbers. So 11 over 15 minus 3 over 5 will equals, our new number will be 15 times 5, 11 times 5, minus 3 times 15. That will give us 55 minus 45 over 75. That will be 10 over 75. Now we know 10 is 2 times 5 and 75 is 5 times 15. So we can cancel out 5 and 5, so leave 2 over 15. So this number and this number is kind of the same result, but this one is simplified. Simplify means we cannot cancel any common factor from the top and the bottom. So that's the final result. So the common form for the subtraction, let's say we have A over B minus C over D. So usually we just do b times d for the denominator and a times d minus c times b. And we can get the result after that. If it's not simplified, we can simplify it, but this will be the common formula for it. Depends if b times d is the least common denominator. If it is, that will be the final result. If it's not LCD, just the CD, just the common denominator, we need to simplify. We need to simplify the result after. So now let's combine the subtraction and addition. So basically kind of the same thing. We have over b. I change to different color. Either this guy is a plus or minus. Let's say minus first. C over d. It will be a times d minus b times c over bd. And for addition, a over b plus c over d equals b times d on the denominator, a times d plus b times c. So the only difference is here. The sign is different from bottom to top. And depends, if b if b times d is LCD, we don't have to do anything for the result. It will be the final. If it's not, it's just a common denominator, we need to simplify. That is true for both subtraction and addition. So these are the two formulas we use to do the fraction addition or subtraction. Now let's do the multiplication for the fraction numbers. So let's say if we have 1 over 3 times 1 over 2, what will that give us? So we just do, the rule is top times top, bottom times bottom. So that will be 3 times 2, 1 times 1. That will give us 1 over 6. Another example, if we have 1 over 5 times 1 over 10, that will give us 5 times 10, 1 times 1. Top times top, bottom times bottom. So 50, that's 1. Doesn't matter if the denominator is the same or not, we just do the multiplication. So the common form will be over b, a over b times c over d. That will give us b times d on the denominator and a times c on the denominator. So that's kind of the formula we use for multiplication. And for division, for fraction division, let's say if we have 1 over 3 divided by 1 over 2. So we need to change that to, we need to change division to multiplication first and flip this number. So we get to change division to multiplication. And flip the fraction number, let's say fraction. After division sign. So for this one, that's just 1 over 3 divided by 1 over 2. So let's change the sign first, change that to multiplication. Step 1. And step 2 will be, let's change to green. Step 2, we need to flip this number. So if we flip it, that means denominator go to numerator and numerator go to denominator. So it will be 2 over 1. So after that, we'll get 2 over 1. And then we'll do same thing as we do the multiplication, the bottom times bottom, top times top. 3 times 1, 1 times 2, that will give us 2 over 3. So that would be our final result. Let's do another one. Let's say if we have 1 over 13 divided by 2 over 11. So we gotta change the sign. Change the sign from division to multiplication and flip the number. Step 1. Step 2. Flip the number will be 11 over 2. Now we do the step 3 is bottom times bottom, top times top. So 11 over 26. So the common form for the division, let's say we have A over B divided by C over D, will give us step 1, we change the sign. From division to multiplication, so it will be A over B, just copy down that number, times. So that's our step 1. And after that, step 2 will be flip the number. So change C over D to D over C. So after that, we will get A over B divided by C over D will give us A over B times, we flip the number, D over C. So the final result will be, then after that, we use bottom times bottom, B times C, top times top. So that will be our final result for it. And if we need to simplify it, we could simplify it. So that's kind of everything I just say. So basically we need to convert the division to multiplication. And from there we can get the final result. So that's kind of everything, the math operation about fraction number. We have the subtraction, we have the addition, we have the multiplication, and the division. So for subtraction, let's say A over B minus C over D, it will be get the common denominator and then change that to AD minus BC. That's for subtraction. And for addition, we'll A over B plus C over D will give us B times D on the bottom, and AD plus BC. That'll be our addition. For the multiplication, A over B times C over D, we could just do the bottom times bottom, up times up. B times D, A times C. Right, for multiplication. And for division, let's say, just move it down a little bit. A over B divided by C over D. So we need change the sign, flip the number, D over C. And after that, we do the multiplication. So that would be B times C, A times D. That's for the division. Okay, that's for everything today. Thank you for watching.